At 3:15 a.m., every credit card with his name attached was canceled. Ethan had never been good with money. I had always been the one keeping things afloat. The accounts were in my name, the house deed in my name, his cards, authorized users only.
Delete.
Remove.
Block.
In 5 clicks, his financial oxygen supply was cut. At 3:30 a.m., I was on the phone with the locksmith. Yes, emergency lock change. Yes, now. I'll pay double. By 4 a.m., headlights cut across my driveway. The locksmith, a stocky man smelling of cigarettes and secrets, took one look at the text I showed him and wordlessly got to work. He'd seen this story before. By 5 a.m., Ethan's empire of comfort, the house, the garage, the digital codes, all of it was fortified. His keychain was now nothing more than useless metal. I stood at the window and watched the sky bleed into dawn. For the first time in years, I didn't just feel safe, I felt in control. And when I crawled into bed and slept until the pounding at 8 a.m. woke me, I already knew whose fists were on the door. Opening my front door at 8 a.m., I found 2 exhausted police officers. Ma'am, we received a call about a domestic dispute. Your husband says you locked him out. My response came in silence. I showed them my phone. The Vegas wedding text glowed in the sunlight. The older cop squinted, eyebrows shooting up. Is this real? The younger tried not to laugh. He's not my husband anymore. He married someone else 5 hours ago. Static. Radio chatter. Ethan's mother screeching through the dispatcher's radio like a banshee with an axe to grind. Finally, the officer sighed. Ma'am, this isn't a police matter. He's not legally entitled to this home if you purchased it before marriage, which, according to the deed, you did. Everything else will have to go through the courts. When they left, I watched them shaking their heads down my driveway. Message received. Ethan might have thought Vegas erased me, but the law had. The house was mine. The leverage was mine. By 2 p.m., they arrived, the full cast of his Greek tragedy. Ethan, still puffed up with swagger too large for his cheap sneakers. Rebecca, his new bride, wedding sundress already wrinkled. Margaret, his mother, a scowl weaponized into performance art. And Lily, his permanently smirking younger sister, who floated between mean girl and vulture. I had been expecting them. Ethan's belongings sat neatly in the garage, boxes labeled with thick black marker.
Clothes.
Electronics.
Tools.
A lifetime of mediocrity, sorted and sealed. Ethan's confidence faltered at the sight.
Wow.
Efficient. Didn't even wait for me to get back. Huh? You didn't come back, I said evenly. You got married. The words hung between us like a stone dropped in water. Then the chaos unfurled. Margaret shouting about respect. Lily sneering that I was bitter, controlling, alone at 34. Ethan posturing about what the house legally meant. But Rebecca stayed quiet. Her hand fumbled nervously at a purse hiding 2 declined credit cards. And the flicker in Ethan's eyes told me he was already suffocating. And that was before I whispered the nuclear option. Rebecca, did you know your company has a strict no-fraternization policy? I wonder what HR would think about this little Vegas stunt. Her head snapped toward him, his jaw clenched. My victory wasn't just about locks and bank accounts anymore. It was weaponized truth. I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. You have 1 hour to get everything and leave. After that, the rest of his junk goes on the curb. 2 days later, Ethan went nuclear. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Suddenly, I was an abusive narcissist who trapped him. Margaret cried on Facebook Live, wringing a Kleenex into shreds. Lily posted sulky TikToks about toxic family. And Ethan posed with Rebecca as if staged for a sad magazine spread. Finally free of Clara. The smear campaign stabbed at my reputation like 1,000 paper cuts. Old friends messaged, wow, I didn't know Clara was controlling. My stomach churned. My hands shook. But shakiness is not weakness. It's adrenaline, survival converting itself into action. I called David, my quietly brilliant tech friend. Within hours, he pulled years of Ethan's messages, including the ones bragging, been siphoning money from her grocery account. Rebecca, can't wait to see her face when we're free. We packaged the evidence, screenshotted, posted, and the internet flipped. Just like that, the sympathy drained from Ethan faster than cheap liquor at his Vegas chapel. Friends turned on him. So, you were the manipulator? Stealing grocery money? Disgusting. Rebecca's name was spat with pity online. Girl, you married a clown. What Ethan had built in lies crumbled under truth. But his desperation only grew uglier. Break-in attempts. Wild accusations. Even calls to my mother, sobbing that he had made a mistake. Her voice cold as steel. You should have thought about that before sleeping with Rebecca for 8 months. That line should have been engraved in granite. The courthouse smelled of bleached tile and disappointment. Ethan arrived with Rebecca trailing, smaller now, cardigan loose, shoulders sagging. Margaret puffed in, pearls strangling her neck. Lily stuck by with daggers in her stare. The trial was surgical. His lawyer flailed. My lawyer, Miranda, simply laid down 73 pages of messages and financial proofs, like she was setting down the sword of Excalibur. The judge's weary eyes scanned Ethan's own words. Can't wait to see her stupid face when she realizes I took her for everything. The silence twisted into humiliation as the judge asked flatly, what context makes this better? Nothing. When the gavel cracked, divorce was granted. My house, my assets, my independence. His burden? 6 months of alimony and his rusting vehicle. Rebecca's face sank into her hands. Margaret shrieked. Lily hissed venom. Ethan sat hollowed out, the boyish grin from Vegas, now nothing more than the rictus of defeat. Life slowly folded back into rhythm. I sold the house. Moved downtown to a sleek condo where the city lights blinked like possibility. Ethan's saga unraveled without me. Rebecca dumped him after catching him with a bartender. Both lost their jobs after HR discovered their stunt. Ethan dragged himself back to his mother's house, living off takeout. Margaret became notorious in local cafes for screaming about baristas who vaguely resembled me. And me, I thrived. I met someone new, Jacob, who one morning brought me a coffee with "Not Ethan" scrawled on it. I laughed so hard it cracked something open in me. Later, Miranda, my lawyer, handed me a gift, a framed copy of Ethan and Rebecca's tacky Vegas marriage certificate. A trophy, she smirked. And she was right. It wasn't a scar anymore. It was proof I'd survived. Now, sometimes at night, I sip wine on my balcony and think back to that text, just married Rebecca. You're pathetic, by the way. And every time I laugh, because Ethan was wrong. I'm not pathetic. He is. And people like him, they don't need me to destroy them. They're the ones writing their own downfall, one smug mistake at a time. Betrayal hurts, but sometimes the sweetest revenge isn't rage, it's calm. Deliberate action. Ethan thought he buried me with one text. Instead, he buried himself, and I just made sure the dirt was packed nice and tight. If this story gave you that addictive rush of poetic justice, make sure to hit subscribe and ring that bell. This channel is full of stories where disrespect turns into downfall. Smash that like button if you believe karma has a better memory than we give it credit for, and share this with someone who deserves to know that payback doesn't always require screaming. Sometimes it just requires a calm hand, a cold glass of wine, and the locks on your door.